Have you ever finished a fat loss phase after getting into the shape of your life? 8 to 10 kg lighter, fitter, and more confident than you've ever been. Then all of a sudden the thought hits you, what do I do now? And so you revert back to your old ways, no longer tracking your calories, not training the same, and no longer making your steps a priority. And a few weeks later, well, you're right back where you started. But what if I told you that this is not how a fat loss phase is supposed to end? That there is in fact a better way, a method that allows you to stay as lean as you were when you finished your diet, but eating way more calories. It should go without saying that if you simply go back to living the way that you were before, it won't be long before you have the body you had before. This is why it's so crucial that when you finish your fat loss phase, that you use my calorie calculator in the description of this video to calculate what your new maintenance calories is going to be. Spoiler alert, it won't be the same as your maintenance calories before you started dieting. Because now that you're a smaller, leaner, lighter version of yourself, this amount is going to be a little bit less. And once you figure out what your new maintenance calorie amount is going to be, you have one of two options. Option number one is that you slowly build back to your new maintenance calories, possibly increasing your calorie intake by 100 or 200 each week. Option number two is that you simply make the leap straight back. Now, there's no right or wrong answer here, but do be aware that if you decide to slowly build back up your calories over the course of several weeks, that all that time that you are not eating at maintenance calories, you're technically eating in a deficit. And if you decide to jump straight back to your maintenance calories, you're probably going to gain a little bit of water weight. But don't stress about it because it's not going to be fat. The transition that you make from ending your fat loss phase to building back up your calories will either make or break the progress that you worked so hard to achieve. And to make sure that you do it right, to stay in the same incredible condition that you achieved through weeks or months of hard work, it's super important that you continue tracking your calories for a minimum of 2 to 4 weeks. I know it's a pain in the arse, but so too is undoing a phenomenal transformation just because you took the easy way out. Tracking your calories at this new, higher amount will make it much easier for you to gauge your calories instinctively moving forward. It will teach you so much about the amount of food that you can get away with eating while maintaining the same level of body fat. But when it comes to stopping tracking your calories, how do you make sure that you don't get fat? When it comes to finally ditching calorie tracking after those 2 to 4 weeks, which should be the ultimate goal for most of you, a common concern is how to make sure that you don't just start gaining unwanted body fat. And the solution is pretty simple. You see, rather than relying on calorie tracking to tell you what and how much to eat, allow the weighing scales to do that instead. Weigh yourself first thing in the morning, every morning, after you go to the toilet and before you eat or drink anything. And at the end of the week, calculate your average daily weigh-in. If this is consistently within a range of about 1 to 2 kg, you really have nothing to worry about. But if you find that week in, week out, your average daily body weight is steadily starting to increase, then this is feedback that over the course of an entire week, you're probably taking in too many calories. So rather than weighing out and tracking every ingredient of every meal that you consume, simply hop up on the weighing scales and track your daily average morning body weights. When you do this, it's crucial that you don't panic if you see one daily weigh-in that for a random reason has seemed to spike. And instead continue to monitor the average of where your body weight is moving over the course of a couple of weeks. Once you've calculated your calories and you have a plan to make sure that you don't start gaining unwanted body fat, what should you do with your steps in your activity? Well, I fundamentally believe that the only variable that you should be looking to change as you transition from a period of fat loss to a period of maintenance is quite simply the amount of calories that you're consuming. Hitting a daily step count, aiming for 1 to 2 cardio sessions a week, training 3 to 4 times a week. These are all things that we should aim to complete irrespective of what our goal is. These are things that build our fitness, that build our strength, and help us to manage and preserve our mental health. There is so much value to consistently implementing a weekly exercise regime that extends far beyond the vanity of simply wanting a six-pack. Now, if you've been aiming for an insane daily step count to maximize the amount of fat loss that you were experiencing, well then this might be a time that you aim for a more conservative goal, possibly somewhere north of 6,000 per day as opposed to 15 or 20,000. But if you continue to make time for your steps, for your cardio, for your training sessions, your body fat won't just thank you, but your physical and your mental well-being will too. One thing that you will notice when you start consuming more calories is that your energy levels in general begin to soar. And with that comes a phenomenal opportunity to push your limits in the gym beyond what you are possibly capable of doing towards the end of your fat loss phase. and transitioning away from your goal being solely fat loss to one that is more aligned with strength, with fitness, or general performance is one of the best ways to move on from a fat loss phase. Because rather than worrying about whether or not your lower back fat is tight enough, why not focus on smashing through your old bench press PB or getting an immaculate pump on a nasty drop set of bicep curls? And even if you're not all that into the gym, pick a brand new goal, whether that's, God forbid, doing your first high rocks, taking up CrossFit, or investing your newfound energy, your focus, and your discipline into your chosen sport, whether that be rugby, GAA, or soccer. Having a performance-based goal of any kind, once finishing up your fat loss phase, is one of the best ways of preventing yourself from constantly ruminating about solely how you look with your shirt off. Which is important, don't get me wrong, but there's far more to life than that. It also helps you to avoid getting caught in this constant cycle, not dieting for a few more weeks, getting fat, and dieting again. All the while, not really making any significant, noticeable, or long-term changes to your physique or composition, despite going to the gym for years. Because at the end of the day, to build the most amount of strength, the most amount of muscle, and to completely overhaul your physical composition, you're going to need to spend a long period of time eating more calories and getting as strong as humanly possible in the gym. But that, my friends, will be for another video. So if you follow my 4-step process in transitioning from a fat loss phase to a maintenance phase, not only will you have celebrated one hell of a fat loss result, but you'll stand the best chance of being able to maintain that result long into the future. And if you're just getting started and want a no bullshit approach as to how to set up an aggressive period of fat loss, I suggest giving this video a watch. Adios.